Hello everyone, watch this review here where they look at Mattel's Man of Steel Movie Masters Black Suited Superman, or if you prefer, Superman with black suit, although frankly I think that sounds a little dumb. This was the costume that he sort of wore during this one dream sequence, although, his eyes didn't have the sort of laser vision effect going on at the time. And this is sort of from like series 3 of the line. Yeah, I'm not sure where to really classify it, whether or not they are having like a Series 3 or a Wave 3, or if he's supposed to be just like a late release from Wave 2, like a Wave 2.5. I'm honestly not sure what's going on with the line at this point. It's also worth mentioning that he's the first figure I picked up, but hold on a second and I'll get him out of pack. Now, instead of getting a collect and connect, the figures in this wave all come with stands. In this case, he gets a sort of nice black themed one that goes well with the costume. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Generally speaking, I do prefer having collect and connects, but given that I probably wouldn't pick up much from this wave anyway, it's honestly not that big of a deal, and I can't imagine what they'd exactly make a collect and connect out of anyway, given that the film didn't have any oversized characters, and I guess they had like that one soldier is a little bit bigger than usual, but even then, that's sort of a stretch. And the fact that, the sort of lines for this are sort of staggered, where they break these out into like 2 or 3 waves. And it's generally pretty hard to get hold of the later figures in them, so again, possibly for the best. In general, wasn't overly impressed with the look of this wave either, and this is, of course, in fact the first figure I picked up from it. I wanted to get a Superman, but I was figuring I'd probably get the sort of normal suited version, up until I saw him and just realized how much cooler he looked than the standard version. The fact that they gave him the sort of laser eyes is a really neat touch, especially because I thought the eyes looked a little bit on the normal version, and he doesn't seem to have like the same sort of 5 o'clock shadow they gave the other version, because I seem to recall that he had like some sort of a darkened color around his, is that what you call the 5 o'clock shadow? But yeah, around his cheeks, like sort of stimulate stubble, or yeah. At any rate, he has like the same general sort of texture across the costume, which honestly looks a lot better in the sort of black deco, as strange as it seems. And there's something about it just makes the color look, or the effect look, so much cooler. Now, one of my big gripes with the line, besides the fact that I do have some issues with the Movie Masters line in general, is that the General Zod didn't come with a cape. If you remember early on when the character is fighting in the film, he has this really cool black cape that gets burned off eventually. But the cape was sort of a really neat effect, where it's a cool contrast versus Superman's colorful, patriotic looking costume. It's sort of a disappointment that we didn't get a black cape with him, but it sort of makes up for the fact that we do get a black suited Superman with cape and everything, which is completely awesome. Granted, this Deco didn't really appear so much in the film, and when he sort of did appear, he didn't have the red eyes, but despite that, this is just a really cool looking figure, something that you can really get sort of excited about, and I will be happy to sort of just toss up on my shelf, even if he seems more like a Justice Lord Superman than I guess, anything else. By the way, this figure is a bit on the taller side. He's roughly the same height as the previously released Movie Masters Bane from the Dark Knight Rises. I can't find what I did with the rest of my Movie Masters figures, but I recall that Bane was a bit on the taller side, so this actually means that he's just about 6-inch scale, which is kind of cool. And that's always been sort of my complaint with Mattel and their DC lines, where the scale is like sort of all over the place, where the DC Universe Classics are a lot taller than 6 inches, and the Movie Masters are a bit shorter, but in this case, he's basically the right height. But yeah, all around pretty neat figure. The only issue here is that the joints are incredibly weak, at least on mine. Like, they're super soft. You could practically pop the wrists right out of his arms. Right out of the sockets there, you can see the pegs sort of exposed. I'm not sure if it's just mine, again, but it's just sort of weird and a little disconcerting. Then, of course, even the elbows are a bit on the flimsier side, but other than that, really nice figure all around. Quick run through of articulation, we have a point of rotation at the wrist, although it feels like his wrists are sort of bending when I do that, so I worry about that breaking, probably won't move that a lot. Single point here at the elbow, rotation bicep, ball jointed shoulder. Head has rotation, no real up and down to speak of, but sort of standard for Mattel. We have waist movement, which actually looks kind of cool with this sort of almost ready to take off pose. And we have the T-joint here at the hip. Really no movement forward. I guess it's just due to the sculpt. We have a point of rotation over the knee, single pin at the knee, and then single pin here at the ankle, which for the most part is pretty standard, except for usually we get a ab crunch or something. In this case, no. I would recommend probably picking this one up, possibly even more so over the standard version, although I know a lot of people want to pick up like the sort of usual one just because that's the deco you see him in the film, but this one I think just looks a lot cooler. And I say lot twice because, you know, it's double cool. At any rate, this has been a look at the Movie Masters Black Suit Superman. Until next time, folks.